Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a video where I'm going to talk about my end of the year TBR. I haven't really been doing a lot of TBRs this year. I think I have maybe one most recent one, but this TBR is mostly for me because if you saw my last video, I talked about how I'm not really having a ton of motivation these past few months. I don't know, I talked about it in that video. I tried to keep it realistic. I didn't want to pile a ton of books because it probably wouldn't happen. So I have like one, two, three, we'll go like 10-ish books, which I think is definitely manageable for like an avid reader, but again, I've been having problems. Anyways, this is my TPR for the end of the year. Let me know what you're planning to read at the end of the year. I know a lot of people like to have different plans for December so they can do their best of the year. I'm not really in the mood to change my whole reading to accommodate videos. So I'm just gonna read what I want to read. And look out for those end of the year videos for me as well. So I want to try to get through as many of the Heroes of Olympus series by Riordan. This series, I think, is kind of self-explanatory. It's a follow-up series to the Percy Jackson series. I don't really have to talk about it too much, but I read the first two books earlier this year, or I reread them, and I never continue with Mark of Athena and everything after that, which is also the part where I left off again. Hopefully we'll read books 3, 4, 5, or as much as I can. I do have one more middle grade on my list, and that is The Whispering Skull. This is the second book in the Lockwood and Company series by Johnathan Stroud. I recently read the first book. It's one of the most recent books I've read, and while I didn't give it 5 out of 5 stars, I do think that the series overall could be something really fun and entertaining, while individual books might not be standouts. I'm always looking for a fun, relaxing middle grade read. While this one technically is younger YA, older middle grade, it's that kind of gray area for me. This takes place in England, and it takes place in a world where ghosts and supernatural type stuff exists, mostly ghosts, like poltergeists, specters, that kind of thing. They exist, and children have a better ability to connect to them, see them, talk to them. So you have paranormal investigative companies that enlist or hire children to work for them, and Lockwood and Company is the only company in the England area that is solely run and employs children. There's no adult supervisors like other companies. So it's really fun, creepy, entertaining, adventurous, without it being spooky if you're if you get scared easily or whatever. It's mostly creepy, nothing too extreme. So this next book I specifically bought for this upcoming winter holiday season, and that is My True Love Gave to Me 12 Holiday Stories, edited by Stephanie Perkins, written by a ton of very popular YA authors. I'm assuming this is going to lean more YA. I just wanted something to read for the season. I don't have Kindle Unlimited at the moment right now. I put that on hold so I can read some of the physical books on my shelf, and that's typically what I would do during the holiday season, but since I don't have that, I picked this up at a Goodwill. It was very cheap. It describes them as made for TV holiday specials, and I love those, as cheesy and ridiculous as they are. They're really entertaining, and we have a lot of big authors like Holly Black, David Levithan, Stephanie Perkins, Kirsten White, Laini Taylor, stuff like that. I don't typically read YA contemporary romance unless it's with a focus on a person of color or queerness. But another YA that I wanted to read is the follow-up to The Queen's Rising. This is The Queen's Resistance by Rebecca Ross. I read the first book in a reading 5 YA fantasy books vlog. I read that first book and I absolutely adored it. It was so fun, and I really liked one specific aspect of the world that this author created, and I wanted to see more of that, so I decided to pick up the sequel. Now, the first book I thought ended on a good enough note that it did not need a sequel. Things got pretty much squared away. Anything that wasn't absolutely told to the audience at the end, you could use your imagination to, whatever loose ends they had, it was fine. But there's a sequel, so we'll see what that entails. In the first book, we follow a young girl who lives in this country that honors the arts. In her country, you can master in one of these things called passions, and there's art, music, intellect, stuff like that, and our main character has not found a passion to like focus on. And at the beginning of the book, she's gone through 7 years of studies and she's probably not ready for her like final exam. That's a general gist of what the book is about, but then some political drama comes up with a neighboring nation. So if you like a school setting but also like political drama, like a rebellion and stuff, the first book at least I really enjoyed. We'll see if I like the duology overall or this one falls flat, but I really liked the first one, and if this one's not good, I might just get rid of this one and just reread my favorite parts of the first book. I would also like to pick up at least the second and maybe the third book of the Mirror Visitor Quartet. There's a fourth book, I don't have it on me, by Christelle Dabos. This series is about a young girl. Her name is it like Olive or Ophelia? I think it's Ophelia or Ophelia. I didn't know this going into the series, but this takes place in a very like far off fantastical Earth, where Earth has like broken apart into different like pieces, and there are these floating pieces of Earth in the sky called arcs, and our main character Ophelia is from an arc that is very like family oriented. I'm not going to call it like socialist because it's a whole different type of connotation, but they're very much like a community driven people. And she's very much into like history and like antiques and stuff like that. But she gets married off to a young boy from another arc that's very different politically, culturally than hers, and so she goes to like live there and she gets involved in some political stuff. That's like the bare bones of the plot, but it is so good. I picked up the first book around the time that I wasn't like super sure if I was loving YA fantasy, but I really enjoyed the first book. This is a French translation, like the book is translated from French. Maybe that played a part in it, because I definitely think that this, at least the first book, right, has appeal for readers that are maybe not super into YA fantasy because, you know, preconceived notions and all that kind of stuff. There are still like tropes that you see in YA fantasy here, but I think this might be a little bit more palatable for an adult or like a general audience type fantasy reader. And something that the first book did that you don't see a whole lot in YA fantasy these days is it seems to be fairly slow burn. Usually with romances in YA fantasies or just YA in general, they pretty much pair off, at least by the end of the first book. I really did like the building dynamic between Ophelia and the man that or the boy, because they're the same age-ish, the boy that she's supposed to get married to. So also, if you're really into the trope where gods walk among us, there's kind of that element here as well. That's like one of my favorite tropes. Getting into like more adult stuff, I would like to pick up Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I read Mistborn a few months ago and I did really enjoy it overall. I like the story. I don't really know how it's gonna go forward because I only read the first book, but I did pick up Elantris. I'm not sure if this was his first publication, but I know it's an earlier work, and I don't know if he's going to build off of this one or Warbreaker or whatever. I don't know too much about the plot. I think that's the best going into this book. But it does seem that we have a cast of characters, and I'm assuming some political drama is going to happen. Don't need to know much more than that, but I really enjoyed reading Mistborn and having like a dedicated vlog just reading that book. Maybe I'll do it again for Elantris because I liked doing that. That's probably one of my favorite vlogging experiences, is like just reading one book per vlog and being detailed with my thoughts. So I might do it with this one. And if there are any books that you think deserve like a dedicated reading vlog where I just read that one book for that vlog, please let me know, because it's like really fun to do. In my last few videos, I talked about how I've not really been listening to audiobooks. That's not really what I'm comfortable doing right now. Usually in the past I would listen to an audiobook while I do like chores and stuff like that, but recently I've been mostly listening to music and stuff. That's been more calming for me. But on the off chance that I do pick up some audiobooks, I do have some Lynsay Sands books that I can listen to. Lynsay Sands has been like a huge author for me. She writes historical romance. I have 2 books of hers on loan from the library right now in audiobook. I have Sweet Revenge by her, as well as the Taming of the Highland Bride. That's the second book in a series. I don't feel the need to go into like the plot because they're mostly just like women falling in love with Scottish men, Highlander men. Historical accuracy is probably not there, but that's not what I pick up these books for. They are fun, they're witty. She always has really good like hooks for a book, like very unique, like how do we put these two characters together so they can fall in love. Some of them are pretty unique. It's not just like we're gonna marry you off to some guy and you fall in love, you know. Some she puts them in unique situations, like meet cutes, I guess. And I really enjoy them. They are exactly what I need when I want to read them. So I hope that I'm in an audiobook mood and I don't get frustrated. I don't know what's been going on with my reading, but I hope I'm in the mood for them because these are really entertaining, and a lot of them actually do kind of make me like laugh and smile and stuff. Those are all the books that I have for the rest of the year. Again, it's not too much. I still have a bit of November and I have the entirety of December. I'm being mindful of the fact that I haven't been reading a ton. So unless I get bit by the reading bug, maybe some of these I won't even get to. So we'll see. Let me know what you're planning to read for the rest of the year. I would love to hear anything you have to say in the comments down below. Have you read any of these books? Like them, dislike them, anything? Talk to me down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.